expired. I call Shane Ardern.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise in support of the Food Bill and thank the Minister for the confidence she's shown in the Primary Production Select Committee in suggesting that later on she will move that this bill go to that committee. Can I also assure the previous Speaker that on the Primary Production Select Committee there will be a fair, open process and we will give submitters fair time to submit. This is something I think it's in the best interest of the whole of the Parliament to get right. As the Minister said in her opening comments, 200,000 small businesses across New Zealand who are involved in the food trading or selling, catering businesses, a domestic economy of $5 billion, and of course as an export nation, and New Zealand is an export nation, where well over 50%, despite figures that Treasury constantly put out, well over 50% of our exports come from exports in primary sector related industries. Most of that, Mr Speaker, being in the food export of some form or another. It is essential that New Zealand get this right. As the Minister said, there are a few issues that need to be addressed. It is a substantial piece of legislation. We have for some time in this country had a whole range of different bits of legislation, many of them outdated. The Food Act itself dating back to 1981 and of course the Food Hygiene Regulations from 1974, Animal Products Act 1999, Wine Act 2003 and many, many others, I'm sure, Mr Speaker, that will be impacted by the passing of this bill and the work that the Select Committee does in terms of how that interface takes place. One of the issues that does come up politically all the time, and the previous Speaker, whom will make a fine contribution, I hasten to add, on the Select Committee, Mr Speaker, with his science background, Massey background, whole life experience in the production, I guess you could say, of food. One of the issues that does come up and was raised by the previous Speaker all the time is the whole issue of the school barbecue, the fundraising event, the cake stall, that kind of thing. What we must ensure is that in our endeavours to make sure that we are thorough in our work around food safety and the marketing and sale of that, both domestically and internationally, that we don't put in place a whole lot of cost of compliance, regulation and unintended consequences, I guess you could say, for those that want to be involved in community activity such as the school barbecue and the rural electorates, the school calf day, those kind of things where unfortunately the state has a bit of a reputation of becoming heavy-handed, over the top and sometimes ridiculous in the compliance that they place on these people. So putting in place a framework that can accommodate both with that and also with imported food and the export of food, so that we absolutely guarantee our 100% pure New Zealand brand that is so valuable to us, in fact the #1 brand for New Zealand, is an essential piece of work for the government and the Select Committee to carry out. There has been a too high, I guess you could say, a number of reported cases of illness in New Zealand in recent years related to foodborne bacteria or diseases, and so there is a need for stringent framework around those that work and handle food and work within the food industry in the catering of food for domestic consumption, etc. And at the same time, our integrity internationally is at risk if we do not make sure that our food that is exported from New Zealand meets the highest possible international standard that is reasonable for you to expect an exporting nation to meet. There has been a number of claims. I know as a constituent MP I field them regularly, that the compliance costs placed on our exporters, because we are very determined to maintain the integrity around that brand, is such that it seems unfair that other importers of food into New Zealand don't appear to have to meet that standard. Now, I don't know whether that's factual or not. It is often asserted, and this is an opportunity, I guess, for those that feel as though they have evidence that there is a double standard in terms of what you must do to export from New Zealand as opposed to competitors for that same product importing into New Zealand, to bring forward their claims and I guess substantiate those, and if they are proven to be correct, I'm sure there'll be an opportunity to highlight some of that in the process that we have before us. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a very important piece of work that this Parliament will undertake. I suspect it's one of those pieces of work that will go on pretty much below the radar, but you never know. And I give the Parliament the assurance that the Primary Production Select Committee will carry out its work in a thorough, open, transparent and fair way, and all of those that are involved in that process will no doubt have their opportunity to participate in it. So thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute today. This is a fine piece of work. I look forward to it going through the Parliament.